Today, we're going to be making some warm squash. We're going to be using Delicata squash for this one. Any squash will do. Today, we're just going to do a really simple breakfast with some very delicious purple kale, a couple of eggs, onions and garlic that we're going to saute up for the kale here itself, and then the roasted squash. And then we're going to finish all that with a little bit of sherry vinegar and a little touch of balsamic. We're gonna do a little mix. These two actually play very well together and they bring different things to the dish. So first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and cut up the squash and get it roasting. So we just wanna cut the ends off. We're just gonna cut these guys in half. And we're gonna go ahead and de-seed these and cube these up so that we get a nice, good caramelization cook all the way around as we roast them off. So we're just gonna use the spoon to scoop in there. I like to go from one end to the other and meet in the middle, and that way I know I'm getting a good, nice, clean cavity here. Slice these guys up into nice little cubes. Now that we've got this all cut up, we're just gonna go ahead and throw it into a bowl here. This is the easiest way to get everything seasoned. So we're gonna go salt first. Just a little bit of a sprinkle in there. And we're just gonna toss it in the salt. It's gonna do a couple things for us. It's gonna help us get nice, even distribution of the salt all around the squash. And then that salt is going to start to penetrate and start to pull some of the moisture out of that squash. So we're gonna roast this dry, no oil. So we're just gonna dump those out. So we got a good amount of space in between all the squashes. So we get a nice even cook. This should go fairly quickly. So I'm thinking maybe about 10 minutes, maybe 15 tops at 425. Okay, now that we've got the squash in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and process the garlic and the onion here. So we've got our clove. We're just gonna steal one, maybe two cloves off of the garlic piece here. Give those a smash, per usual, just to get the skins off. So you could go either which way you want on this mince. It could be fine, it could be coarse, depending on how much you want the garlic flavor to persist through the greens. We're gonna go relatively small here. That way when we cook it, we can get a nice little bit of caramelized garlic note. Grab our onion here. Just come and take off the top and the bottom. We'll tap on the side there so we can get that first layer out. Again, same thing here, like we did with the shallot in one of the previous dishes. We're just gonna go ahead and take that knife, using our finger as the guide here, to cut about mostly the way through the onion. There's our halfway point. We'll come back to that in a second. All the way down, getting nice slices all the way through. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna come back to that halfway point roughly and just cut that onion in half. And we're gonna go ahead and press down evenly, use the tip of the knife, come through. So we get some nice strips. And once again, we're just gonna push that knife through, gliding along the fingers. Let's get a nice little onion dice. So we're getting a nice dispersion of the onion across the greens, right? So, oof, and my eyes are watering. Oh. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, my eyes are on fire. My nose is burning. That was a sulfury onion. Whew. Let's saute this bad boy up. Okay, now that I've had a good cry, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to pull the squash out of the oven. It's been in there for about 15 minutes. We've got our onion and garlic here. We're gonna bring it over to the stove and start to saute it up. So, go ahead and grab our olive oil here. I'm gonna put in 2 doses of olive oil. There is our squash. Let's take a peek. Looking pretty good. Let's give it another 5 minutes though. So we'll go about 20 minutes on the roast. The other thing that I want to do here, and something we didn't do with the other greens dish, is I want to add a little bit of butter. Not only does it add richness and give it a little bit different of a mouthfeel or texture when we cook the greens in here, what the butter is going to do that the olive oil doesn't is pair beautifully with these two vinegars. The butter, the dairy and the flavor of the butter, the culturedness of the butter brings out the barrel character of the vinegars here a little bit more, and so it really just highlights that component of the dish. So anytime you really want to highlight the characters of the vinegars, not just the acidity, but the characters of the vinegar, use a little butter in here, because we've already got 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So now, if you wanted to get crazy, you could even brown the butter in the olive oil, and that's going to add another layer of nuttiness to the whole thing, which would be quite delicious. So while we're waiting for that to melt, let's go ahead and bust these greens out. So just cutting the bulk of the big parts of the stems off. You know, if there's any greens attached, we definitely want to salvage that as much as possible. So like in this one here, you can see there's just, you know, mostly some stem, but with a little bit of a green part that we'll want to keep. Rough cut these up. Where the chard will wilt down to nothing, the kale's got a lot more meat to it, and so we can actually cut this up to be a little bit smaller. Oh, there's a last bit of that moisture in the butter. Brown butter is happening, and we're gonna go ahead and hit the garlic first. So garlic in. Wash it around. All right, so we're not just letting the heat attack the garlic, we're letting it slowly cook in there, and then it's getting that nice little bit of color, and that's about all I want for that, because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm gonna toss in those onions right on top of it. All right, so now we're just gonna cook all this together. And just once again, get those onions to soften and release some of their flavor and moisture. Turn the heat down to about medium, and we're just gonna let that simmer away for a little bit. The squash is looking like it's about ready to come out. Let's go ahead and chop this kale up just a little bit more in preparation, because we've got a couple seconds. Literally. Let's grab this kale, or the squash. Yes, timer. All right, so nice and roasted. Go ahead and load the kale up onto our cutting board here. So transfer it over. And those onions are looking pretty good, nice and translucent, right? So definitely softened out. That garlic is a perfect color, nice and toasted, not overly caramelized. So we're gonna go ahead and bring these greens in and just shimmy their way into the dish. Come back in with our pinch of salt, and let's stir that in. Starting to break down, and we got a nice coating of fats around the greens here. Really gonna carry that flavor through. Go ahead and spread it out again. The greens have started to wilt and break down. So we're gonna go ahead and kill that heat. Gonna let it dissipate just a little bit. Keep moving those greens around. So now we wanna let the heat die down just a little bit, because if we added the vinegar right away, when we did that, what's gonna happen is that the greens are gonna go brown right away, right? So we don't want to heat the greens with the vinegar on them. We want to actually let the greens cool down. So there's just a little bit of heat. We'll say a little bit of warmth. Then we can add the vinegars on top without worrying about actually causing the greens to brown. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it. 1, 2, about 2 teaspoons of sherry, 2 teaspoons of balsamic. Give it a stir. Yeah, I think we preserved the color of the greens there. You can smell the vinegars already. So a little aromatization there. Let's go ahead and take our squash. All mixed in there. Now you you could keep this separate if you wanted to. You could cook the greens to order in the morning if you wanted to, and just have the squash that you would heat up and then cook your eggs. In this case, I'm just gonna mix it all together. Perfect. So that's what we end up with there. All right, so let's get this guy up here. So we got a bit of greens and squash.